Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back if you've been here already with us today, or welcome for the first time. This is session 4 of day 3 of the World Teachers 2025 online conference. It's actually our last session today. So thank you for joining us wherever you are. We're just about ready to get started. Um, Please say hello to us. Say hello in the chat. If you're in Zoom, if you're watching on Facebook, say hello in the comments. We really like knowing where you're joining us from. Yeah, we'll be reading all of your comments. Just a reminder that if you're watching us in Zoom, use chat to answer the questions and the Q&A to ask questions to the presenters. So we are just ready now to start the that's right, final session of the World Day Teachers Day Conference. It's called Boosting Learner Engagement in Speaking Activities with Inga Mdivani. So welcome, Inga. How are you?
Hello, Melissa, and hello, everyone. Happy World Teachers Day to everyone. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. I mean, I'm sad that we're just about to finish, but
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this topic. It's going to be a good one. So, Inga, I'm going to tell all about you to the audience,
Mhm.
and then we'll get
Okay.
started. So, Inga Mdivani is a very experienced English teacher. She works with high school students in Tbilisi, Georgia. She also works as a school guidance counselor. So she holds a qualification as well as an interpreter and a translator. Wow, Inga, you're a busy woman.
Sure.
I met Inga when she presented her research in a webinar earlier this year with us. So she is a action research mentor with the British Council in Georgia. So she's really interested in professional development. But what she's come here to talk to us about today is her research about speaking in the classroom. So, Inga, we're excited for this. It's over to you now, Inga. I'll be here when
Okay,
you
thank
need
you.
me. But when you're
Sure.
ready, you can start sharing.
Mhm.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Melissa, for the introduction. And now let me share my screen. And let's make sure that everything is okay and you can see it in full screen.
Okay, looks good to me, Inga.
Is it
Right?
good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get started then. So, hello, everyone, again. Thank you for joining and for having me today. I'm really excited to share with you some strategies from my exploratory action research, as Melissa mentioned, which focused on one of the biggest challenges that we all face as language teachers, and it's getting students to actually speak. I chose to focus my research on speaking because although my students generally did well in grammar, vocabulary, and written tasks, they were reluctant to participate when it came to speaking. Many gave only very short answers and avoided extending their ideas. And this led to hesitant, quiet lessons, which felt discouraging both for them and for me as a teacher. Additionally, speaking is such a vital skill for communication in real life, especially in today's fast changing, interconnected world, that the ability to communicate clearly and confidently in English, I think, is important than ever. Therefore, I wanted to understand what was holding them back and explore strategies to make speaking activities more engaging and effective. So, in this webinar, we will discuss possible reasons for learners' slow participation in speaking activities and share ways to boost their engagement by demonstrating practical activities which you can adapt to your own classrooms. But in order to find out how we can increase our students' participation and how we can help them build their confidence in speaking English, I think it's crucial to consider what affects learners speaking in class. So, with that in mind, I'd like to hear from you now. In your experience, what factors most affect learners' participation in speaking activities? Please share your thoughts in the chat. Let's see the chat and the answers that are coming in. Shyness, anxiety, confidence, fear. So it's moving so fast, but I will try to catch as many as possible. Anxiety again, lack of confidence. That's right. So it's fascinating. Yeah. Shyness again, fear of making mistakes, lack of confidence. It's really interesting to see such a variety of the responses that are coming in. Language barrier. Okay, that's right. Lack of vocabulary, judgment. That's correct. Bored. Maybe lessons may be boring as well. Don't know the topic, so topic can be a problem as well. Mhm. No confidence. Yeah, you're right. Thank you all for sharing your answers. You've already mentioned many of the key points. And now let's look at some of the key factors that usually affect learners speaking in class. And one of the factors is personality. Some students are naturally more talkative, while others may be shy or introverted. And this affects how much they are willing to speak up and to participate in speaking activities. Next is emotions. Anxiety often holds students back. When students are anxious, they are less likely to use a target language. And in contrast, enjoyment and positive emotions can really encourage participation. Interests in topics. When students find topics meaningful or connected to their own lives, they are much more motivated to speak. And interlocutors. Students tend to speak more when they are in smaller groups or with people they know well. The next important factor is enough time. We should stay silent and give our students thinking time before speaking. When we allow a short pause for planning, students often produce more accurate and confident language. Next, we have error correction approach. If we correct every mistake immediately, students may become anxious or hesitant to speak. Delayed error correction, on the other hand, means that we wait until after the activity to give feedback, or we summarize common errors at the end of the lesson. This allows students to concentrate on communicating first, which encourages more fluent speaking. And providing enough support, such as word banks, sentence frames, sentence starters, and models, can give students the tools they need to participate. And we have group organization. Mixing groups and changing partners ensures students practice with different peers and develop flexibility. So we should create lots of opportunities for our students to speak in pairs and small groups and larger groups. So now I will be talking a little about my research and my research findings. Through my research, I discovered that the main reasons my students were passive in speaking activities were that some students would dominate, while others were afraid of making mistakes. They felt nervous or lacked confidence, and some also felt rushed. And traditional feedback and encouragement strategies were not always effective. So today we will explore the solutions to these problems. But now I would like to hear from you. Let's stop and reflect. So, what strategies do you incorporate into your classroom to promote your students' participation in speaking? Please feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. And let's see the responses that are coming in. Differentiation, think, pair, share, encouragement strategies. Yeah, this is moving so fast. Thank you everyone for your engagement. Yeah, I will try to catch as many as possible. Motivation, that's correct. Scaffolding, participating for a long time. I'm sorry I can't see your names. That's why I'm just reading the answers only. Sentence starters, right? Friendly atmosphere, grouping, cooperative learning strategies, role play, turn taking. Lots of great ideas here. Think pair share again, humor, role play, motivation and encouragement, contest with games, informal conversations. I agree with you. Gamification, role playing, group work, dialogue practice, lyrics. That's something very interesting. Demonstration, maybe modeling, sparking curiosity, jigsaw activity, ice-breaking questions. Great ideas here, lots of great ideas. So thank you everyone for your engagement and for sharing your answers. It's really interesting to see such a variety of strategies that you are already using to support your students. And now, based on my research findings, I developed an action plan that combines scaffolding such as language support, round robin technique, and regrouping. And these strategies proved successful in increasing engagement. And today I'll demonstrate exactly how they work in practice. And let's begin with round robin. Round robin discussion is a simple, structured way to give every student the chance to speak. Students take turns sharing their answers in a set order so that no one is left out. And it helps shy or reluctant students participate without feeling singled out. The term round robin originally comes from a historical expression and it means a letter. The round robin is a letter, especially a petition or protest, having the signatures in a circle in order to disguise the order of signing. In terms of classroom methodology, is considered a speaking activity that encourages turn-taking, active listening, and balanced participation. And it was developed in 1994 by Dr. Spencer Kagan, who is a renowned researcher and educator, and is mainly known for his work on cooperative learning strategies. This is something that was mentioned in the chat, and it often referred to as Kagan structures. These structures are designed to increase student engagement and cooperation. And round robin is one of the structures, and it maximizes participation. It allows for collaboration. It motivates learners by providing social interaction and is the opportunity to be active. It can be used with any content and is used successfully at all grade levels. And it's particularly important feature for my classroom based on my research is that everyone has an equal opportunity to participate, to contribute. So no one dominates the discussion and no one can hide. But how can we practically apply round robin in our classroom? So let's go through practical application of round robin technique. It can be used for any speaking task, including brainstorming ideas, practicing fluency, sharing views, reviewing grammar and vocabulary, or any other material. Or it can be combined with other activities. It can also warm students up before debates, discussions, and presentations, and the teacher also sets a time limit per speaker. That's important in round robin. As I mentioned earlier, round robin is a very simple instructional strategy and it consists of steps. So first, we choose an engaging, open-ended prompt connected to students' lives, their interests, or lesson context. For example, what's your favorite hobby and why? So first, we introduce the topic. Then we form groups by dividing the class into small groups of ideally 4 to 6 students. Then we explain the rules that each student will share their answer one by one, and you can tell them to rotate clock or counter clockwise, and they listen carefully and wait for their turn. And we provide support. We offer scaffolding before the activity by giving them useful vocabulary and sentence starters and frames so they don't feel stuck. And then we run the round robin. We give each student 30 to 60 seconds to share. Here, structure and timing is the key. We need to make sure to keep each student to a set amount of time to speak so that each group member gets their opportunity. And we continue until every student has spoken once. And you may continue with a follow-up activity where groups expand on their ideas. They can compare their responses or share with the whole class. And you may also run a second, third round with additional new questions, and you can modify the activity according to the lesson aim, target language, grade level, etc. And it's worth mentioning that it's crucial to apply scaffolding techniques to give students structured practice to produce English easily, quickly, with more confidence, and of course, in meaningful ways. And here, word banks and word walls, as well as sentence frames and sentence starters, are excellent tools to use in combination because students can connect vocabulary with language structures. And we also apply modeling. And these structures can be very simple with only one or two words missing or more open-ended. And they can be used when giving tasks. In this particular case, in the case of round robin, before students take turns to speak. And you can write the words and frames on the board or show on the screen and model a response before asking students to use them. And as students become more proficient, you can include additional sentence frames to help students add more details. And now I'll walk you through some examples of word banks and sentence frames and how learners can use them. Here is an example question. What's your favorite hobby and why? And we also have a word bank with 3 categories of words. First, we have hobbies and activities, things like read books, listen to music, go shopping, travel, draw. We have descriptions, adjectives such as exciting, relaxing, challenging, healthy, and enjoyable. And lastly, we have time expressions that we can use, like it weekends, in the evenings, in my time, holiday, and during the week. And on this slide, you can see the sentence frames that students can use to build their answers. And there are phrases to help you start your idea, give a reason, and say when you do it. At this stage, I usually model one example myself so students can see how it works. And to demonstrate how this particular sentence frames and word banks can be used, I'll model it myself now. I've highlighted the frames that I'm going to use. And if I were a student, I might say, one activity I really enjoy is listening to music. I enjoy it since it's relaxing and it makes me feel happy. Most of the time, I listen in the evenings after I finish my work. So you see, I used both the sentence frames and the words from the word bank. However, students can use their own words along with the sentence frames, with the provided sentence frames. And for more clarity, I would like to ask our host to join in and play the role of a student. This way you can see exactly how you can model these tools with your own students. Melissa, could you please join in and act as a student and use one of these frames to answer the question? What is your favorite hobby and why?
Okay, should I give my real answer? Okay. I spend a lot of time gardening. It makes me feel relaxed. I often garden when I have free time. Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa. Perfect. Thank you for modeling with me. That was a
No
clear
problem.
example, and that's exactly how learners can use it naturally. And notice how this activity works step by step. First, the teacher models using the frames, then a student tries it out. And finally, the whole class can practice. So this gradual release makes students feel more supported and more confident in using language.
Yeah, was easy to use, to choose things. Yeah, worked well. Great, thanks.
Thank you, Melissa. And here is another example of sentence frames along with relevant word banks. So we have three sections here, three columns. In the first, we have provided the topics and vocabulary. In the second, sentence starters and frames and word banks. They are relevant to the sentence frames, so they can be used uh, perfectly in combination. And generally, after a lesson is completed, vocabulary can be displayed on posters or on a word wall and can be organized by topic alphabetically or by another method. And students can also use a notebook as a personal vocabulary journal and record the words by topic to use later during other speaking tasks. But you may wonder, and it's really interesting, why and how round robin works to get students to speak. First of all, it's because of predictability and clear rules. Students know what's expected of them, which reduces uncertainty. They know when their turn will come, so no pressure to interrupt. Then orderly turn taking and equal turns. No one dominates the conversation, so quieter students don't feel overshadowed or silenced by more outspoken peers. Therefore, there is no need to fight for space in the discussion. Next, we have preparation time. Students can think ahead while others are speaking, which lowers the pressure of coming up with the answers, with the ideas on the spot. And we have time boundaries here. Short speaking times keep the task manageable. And next, there is shared responsibility. The focus shifts from individual performance to collective participation. And lastly, we have support tools because sentence starters and word banks, they provide a safety net. So even those who are unsure about their language and their ideas have something to lean on. However, while this activity is great for giving everyone a voice, some students may still feel unprepared, unsure, and they may need a bit more support. That's why we can use a variation of round robin, and it's called Think Right Round Robin. In this version, students first take a moment to jot down their ideas before sharing, and this quick writing step helps them organize their thoughts first, lowers anxiety, and gives them more confidence to contribute more fully. So the teacher asks a question first or provides a task and gives thinking time. And students first think and then they respond independently in writing. Finally, students can do a round robin, it's taking a turn to share their answers. Now let's go through the stages one more time, but now with think and write. So first, we introduce the topic, which is a prompt connected to engaging, open-ended prompt connected to learners' lives or their interests or lesson context. And then we form groups. We divide the class into small groups of ideally 4 to 6 students. And then we explain the rules that each student will share their answers one by one, and they listen carefully and wait for their turn. And we offer scaffolding before the activity by giving them useful vocabulary and sentence starters and frames. And here is the think step. We allow a short time of about 30 to 60 seconds for students to think quietly about their response using the support provided. And after that, there is the right step. When students are asked to quickly write down their ideas or the keywords from their ideas. And only after that, we run the round robin. And we give each student about 30 to 60 seconds to share. Students take turns sharing what they wrote, and they continue until every student has spoken once. And again, we can continue with a follow-up where students have an opportunity to share their answers in a whole class discussion, expand on their ideas by comparing responses. Let's summarize some of the key benefits of having students write before they speak. First, it gives them extra thinking time and helps them prepare and refine their answers, their ideas, and language. So when they do speak, they can do it with more confidence and more accurately. And finally, it makes it easier for quieter students to join in because they already have something prepared to say. And by using these simple structures on a daily basis, students' participation and communication skills will greatly improve. And this form of learning is essential to the development of vital 21st century skills. So far, we've looked at the strategies that can make speaking activities more engaging, but there is another important factor to consider, and it's the way we group our students or if we regroup them. Let's take a moment to think about why these changes matter in practice. So now I'd like to hear from you. What do you think are the benefits of regrouping students for speaking activities? Please share your thoughts in the chat. Let's see the comments here. Feedback to support each other, helping each other, collaboration, more exposure, variety, scaffolding. Okay, you're right, exactly. These are all wonderful ideas. Motivation, peer feedback, social skills, new people, the idea of working together, engagement, discussion, motivation, cooperative learning, peer teaching, great, equitable learning. Okay, lots of great ideas here. Teamwork, collaboration, that's right. Different, mixing, mixed levels. Correct. Discussion, sharing ideas, building confidence, mixed abilities, enhanced interaction, exposure. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for your contributions. Lots of great ideas here. And let's return to my research. From my research, I discovered that how we organize groups can make a big difference in learners' participation and confidence. In the questionnaire, many of my students shared that they felt more comfortable speaking in familiar environments and with people they knew well, and that they preferred speaking to the neighbor, a person sitting next to them. And if they had to interact with different students, or if they had to participate in a whole class discussion, they often stayed silent. One student wrote in the questionnaire, I feel more confident when there aren't many people or when I know everyone. Another noted, I prefer speaking to the student sitting next to me. So I realized that my students were used to speaking to only the person sitting next to them, which made it harder for them to participate in other situations. Additionally, when I kept the same pairs or groups, the same students dominated while others stayed quiet, and shy learners never got a chance to speak. So I decided to use frequent regrouping to help my students get more comfortable speaking with different classmates and give everyone the opportunity to speak. Let's look at the impact. What was the impact of regrouping in my own classroom? First of all, it helped break those patterns. It balanced out dominant and quiet students. It increased student confidence in unfamiliar situations. It also kept activities fresh, which boosted motivation. It promoted collaboration because students learned to work with a wider range of classmates, and it exposed them to a wider range of language and diverse viewpoints. Now let's take a closer look at some regrouping strategies that can maximize everyone's participation and ensure diverse interaction patterns. First, we have groups by proficiency. Pairing and grouping mixed ability learners increases the probability of successful tutoring, meaning that members with higher proficiency can support the learners with lower proficiency. In contrast, it's sometimes better to group learners by similar proficiency so that everyone has equal opportunity and responsibility to speak. We can also design multiple tasks for group members. For example, beginner students can answer an easier question, while advanced students answer a more difficult question. We should also adjust group size strategically. Teachers sometimes think that all groups must have the same number of members. In fact, reticent students may be placed in smaller groups to force all to speak, while dominant students may be in larger groups and receive valuable practice in turn taking. Next group is personality grouping. This is the type of group where talkative students are grouped together so they challenge each other, while quieter learners can participate more comfortably in other groups when they are placed together. We also have shared interest grouping. When students share the same interests or topic preferences, they have more to talk about, which helps them feel more comfortable speaking, more confident, and it enhances participation. We also have flexible team structures, creating teams of four with mixed ability students, frequently breaking them into pairs for activities where students sometimes work with their face partner and sometimes with their shoulder partners. Now, as we are approaching the end, I'd like to hear from you. Which strategy you heard today are you most excited to try in your own classroom? Please feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. Let's read the chat. All of them. That's great to hear. Round robin. All of them. All are great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Round robin. Most of them. All of them. Regrouping. Grouping. Thank you. All of them. Personality grouping. That's right. Okay, everyone is writing. Almost everyone is writing all of them. I'm so happy. Scaffolding. Round robin for sure, and regrouping. All of the strategies, regrouping, shared interest grouping, mixed proficiency, speak and write, motivation, scaffolding, all of them. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Scaffolding again and round robin. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing your responses. It's really exciting to see that you plan to apply these strategies into your classroom, and I hope they bring positive results for you and your students. Here are the references that I used for this presentation in case you'd like to explore the sources further. And thank you all for joining. I hope these strategies inspire you to create more engaging and supportive speaking activities for your students. So thank you so much, everyone.
Hi, Inga. Thank you. And thank you to the amazing
Hi again.
participation. We've got lots and lots of comments. So, Inga, I love that. I really did. I've got my own questions, but I'd
Thank you.
also like to invite all of our audience to take this opportunity and ask Inga some questions. We've got
Sure.
here with us for the next 15 minutes. So write your questions in the Q&A area, or if you're on Facebook, you could write your questions in the comments, and I'll be looking there too. Inga, are you happy to take questions from our audience?
Sure. Of course.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. So let's see
It's
what's
really interesting what
coming
kind of
in.
questions will come.
Yeah, me too. Well, one thing I know is that people are really interested in speaking, because, and I already see a comment that says, let me find it and read it because I really liked it. It came from Teacher Fortune that just says, I'm already motivated so that I can start
Hmm.
implementation of this next week. So
Yeah.
yeah, there we go.
Great. Great.
Uh-huh. Well, let's go to some question. Um,
Hmm.
l- well, there's one that has come up from Sumita, and I think it's a good one. I think you touched on it, but I'm going to ask it again. Sumita wants to get some suggestions for the most inactive students.
Mm.
That student who is unmotivated or demotivated.
Hmm.
Uh, Who do you put them with? Which groups do you put them in? Are they best in, you said they're best in small groups.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that
Let's
right?
talk about this. So I think
Okay.
that again, we need to vary the regrouping and also the
Mm,
activities for these
yeah.
passive
Okay.
students, inactive students. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's useful to place them not only in one type of group, but in
Uh-huh.
different types of groups. For example,
Okay.
one day we can group them, one week we can group them with one person, maybe similar proficiency students, and
Mm-hmm.
next week we can group mixed ability, mixed proficiency students together. But
Mm-hmm.
in the case of very inactive students that was mentioned in the question, I think that after applying all these activities that we have been talking about today, they still remain passive. I think we need to apply research then. So we need to explore the reasons behind it. So what holds
Mm,
them back? Why aren't they participating? That's really important because there may be different kinds of reasons. Is it fear of making mistakes? Is it
mm,
vocabulary? Is it what's the reason? That's the main thing to consider, and that's why research is really useful in this case. And then we
mm,
will adjust the activities and we will plan the lesson accordingly for such students. And we will include scaffolding, which is
mm-hmm.
appropriate, which is relevant to this particular student.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So thank you for the question. It's a really great
You're
question, and
welcome. Of
I hope
course.
that helps, Sumita. Um, that takes me to a question that I'm curious about, and it's
Mm-hmm.
about the research that you do, and it's classroom research, so any teacher
Yeah.
can do it. But you use
Yes.
questionnaires. Um, can you
Sure.
tell us a bit more about how you do that? Is it questionnaires
Yeah.
on paper? Do you have online questionnaires?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to
Mm-hmm.
know a bit
I
more,
will share
because
that.
I
I
loved how much
created
information
paper.
you can get.
Yeah,
Mm.
sure. Paper. It was paper designed on paper. It was a
Uh-huh.
questionnaire, like a survey, and I included lots of questions there in this questionnaire. And the questions you mostly asked the students what activities they were interested in, or what topics they were interested in to discuss during the
Mm-hmm.
speaking activities. And I
Yeah.
also I provided the options to choose from, but at the same time, students were allowed to write their own preferences. That was important because
Okay.
we can consider everything in advance. So we need to give them
Yeah.
these open-ended questions as well to share
Uh-huh.
their preferences, what they prefer, what kind of activities they prefer to participate in. There were many
Yeah.
other questions as well. For example, why they were not participating. And
Mm-hmm.
some of the answers and some of the questions I have already shared today in one of the slides. And yes, so the questionnaire was really, really important because if we
Mm-hmm.
want to solve something in our classroom, we want to first of all ask our students, right?
Yeah.
So we get the answers directly from our students. Why aren't they speaking? First, ask your student. That's what research is for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we should not
It's,
find the problems and the solutions to the problems in other places, but in our classroom.
yeah.
And this is why we do research. This is very practical research where
Uh-huh.
every teacher can engage in, every teacher can do it. And that's really useful because we find out, we discover lots of things that we haven't been even thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we ignore many things during the lessons. We don't know why students are not participating or why don't they want to even
Mm-hmm.
write. So we can
Yeah.
apply this research to
Mm.
solve any problem, I think, in our classroom.
Yeah, I think questionnaires are really powerful because the questions that they wrote, sorry, the answers that they wrote to you, they seemed really honest.
Mhm.
They gave their honest opinion, and maybe
Sure.
no one had ever asked them before. Maybe no one had
Yeah.
ever said like, what do you like, or why don't you like this? So
hmm And
yeah,
usually when I ask this, I also tried, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I also
um,
tried to ask them in person, but
okay,
in writing in the questionnaire, they are more honest, I think, rather than
okay.
when they are speaking to you.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine that because if somebody asked me about feedback to their face, maybe I couldn't find the words or I'd be a bit shy, but yeah, on paper, I
mhm,
can see that they would give the
mhm.
real
And
answers.
especially
Yeah.
if it's anonymous, if we don't know
Ah,
who
they
wrote
were
this.
anonymous. Hmm.
Yeah. So most of the questions in this questionnaire were closed questions. They were these
Okay.
ranking questions as well. They could rank
Huh.
the activities according to their preference and topics they wanted to speak about during speaking activities. But I also included these open-ended questions, and they
Mm-hmm.
were fewer than closed questions.
Okay. Oh, really interesting. It's great reflective practice as well, which is something we learned about on Thursday
Sure.
with a great talk. Let me check who was it was by. Oh, it was Top Tips for Reflective Practice by Anastine Lum Chi.
hmm
So if anyone watching wants to know a bit more about reflective practice, which might involve this type of research that Inga has done, go and find the recording for that. That's a really good one. It is. Um,
Yeah, I believe that reflection and research, they are really intertwined because
yeah.
research, we do research. In fact, teachers do research, but they
Uh-huh.
maybe they don't know that they are doing research because
Yeah.
I believe most teachers
Thinking and
reflect. Yeah, they reflect after
uh-huh.
conducting the lesson and
Yeah.
so on. So yeah, reflection is really important. One of the tools that I used in my research was reflection.
Uh-huh.
And of course,
Yeah, I
also an observation by my colleague.
oh, okay. Okay, so that as well. You've got the
hmm
questionnaires and
Yeah,
then a
three
colleague helping you.
different
Okay.
tools. hmm
Great, interesting. Let's go to another couple of questions. Um, there's a question that's connected to research. It's from Rachna on Facebook, and she's asking a big question. She says, "Do you have one kind of big takeaway tip that you learned from on all this big project on speaking?" What you maybe it's difficult to sum it up into one tip, but what
Yeah,
would you say?
yeah. In fact, it needs reflection, deep reflection right now. But I will try
Uh-huh.
to answer. That's a really great question. I will try to answer. So the main thing that I learned from my research is that it doesn't matter whether it's speaking or other problem, other issues in the classroom. I learned that we need to explore the root. reasons, causes of the
Okay.
problems in the classroom. And if we know
Uh-huh.
exactly what causes these problems, we can solve them because we
Yes.
can plan the lessons accordingly. This is what happens after as a result of the research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's my main um how to say it. So this is the main sentence that I always say
Yeah.
what I learned as a result. So I have there are many other benefits as well of the
Mm-hmm.
research. For example, I noticed that I've become more empathetic because
Okay.
I started
Mm.
to consider my students' feelings, their emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and act accordingly. For example, I try to never correct their mistakes when they are
Mm-hmm.
speaking, especially, or
Mm-hmm.
even any other mistakes. And I try to just summarize these mistakes at the end of the activity or at the end of the lesson. And um, because I believe that this discourages when we correct their mistakes immediately
Mm-hmm.
or frequently, we discourage them from participation. They may refrain from participating then and from
Okay.
speaking. That's why, so I will share one of the strategies that I use in this case. And this is
Yeah.
while my students are speaking, I observe them, I make notes on their mistakes and I
Mm-hmm.
include these mistakes in the sentences at the end when this activity is complete. And I write them on
Okay.
the board with these
Uh-huh.
mistakes and ask the students to correct the mistakes.
Okay.
And students are usually very enthusiastic about this task and they really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy correcting the mistakes, but they don't know that these are the mistakes that they made.
Ah,
They don't know that.
anonymous.
Yeah, and
Okay.
sometimes I include these sentences, correct sentences as well. And I ask students, are there any good sentences among these
Mm-hmm.
mistakes? And they are looking for mistakes, for errors. And they say
Mm-hmm.
they can't find. When they can't find, they say this is a good sentence. So this
Okay.
is the strategy that I usually apply, and I like it myself as well because
Yeah.
students can remember subconsciously. They remember, they see it, they visually remember these mistakes, and they won't
Mm.
typically repeat them in the
Mm-hmm.
future.
Oh, it's a really nice activity. I like that a lot. They're anonymous, but I'm sure that yeah, they know sometimes, oh, that was me. That's my error written on the
Maybe,
board. But
yeah,
then they don't have to
maybe
say,
they know.
oh, a teacher wrote in the comments, a teacher called Gani said, oh, that's delayed feedback then. So
Yeah,
you
delay
you
their
always do delayed
correction.
feedback. Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Okay, great. Let's go to another question. Um, and let's see. There's a question from Josephine about think right round robin, um,
Hmm.
and she says that most of my students they make they make notes and then they just read their notes. Actually, I think she's talking about just normal round robin speaking one, the
Hmm.
one that, for example, I used the frame. If they read, if they write their notes and then read it out, it's not the same, right? What would you do to make them just speak and not rely so much on their paper in their hand? Any tips?
Yeah, I don't think, thank you for the question. I don't think that they have enough time to write full sentences. But
Ah, okay,
notes are
okay,
okay. Notes are fine because uh, these are just the ideas that they can build their answers on. And
right.
that's the main objective of this think, write, round robin, that they use this not only notes, but also we provide the word banks, we provide the sentence frames. So it's necessary to use them in order to help them. Otherwise, they
Mm-hmm,
can't participate. So I think that this is the great tool along with
mm-hmm.
the sentence frames. And they don't usually write full sentences. And we can also ask them
Okay.
not write full sentences. You don't have enough time to write them fully.
Right.
Just make notes
Uh-huh.
very quickly
Yeah.
because they have only 30, we give only 30 to 60 seconds to write. So it's not enough to
Okay.
write full sentences.
Right. I see. It's the time that you give them that's the key. Oh, well, I hope that helps the teacher that asked. And I guess I'm thinking if you've got a student that you see is always just trying to read, just tell them, turn over your notebook now and don't look at your paper. Maybe that could help.
We can also make it more challenging with time as they
Okay.
progress
Uh-huh.
developing their speaking skills. We can, for example, we can make these sentence frames more challenging, more difficult to use.
Okay.
So if we
Yeah,
have, for
yeah.
instance, only one or two words missing, we can leave out more words from the sentence frames.
Okay. Let's go to a question about assessment. Can you assess these type of speaking activities? Like,
Yeah,
can you
yeah, sure.
manage to do that in
Thank
a
you.
in a in a big group? What are your tips for trying to get assessment from speaking
Hmm.
activities?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, I will share my experience. I usually apply different approaches, different strategies for assessment.
Mhm.
And I think that in order to generally assess speaking skills, our students' speaking skills, we need to get them actually speak, right? So
Yeah.
they need to speak in order to assess their speaking skills. That's why, first of all, we need to apply a variety of activities. It can be role plays, interviews, debates,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter which activities, and observe them. Observation is really important. Observe them while they are performing, while they are speaking, and provide them with the requirements as well, with the rubrics. So we can give
Hmm.
them the rubrics, the criteria, what is required from them, what requirements they have to meet, and they know exactly then what language to use, what to focus on, and that's the tool
Hmm.
for assessment, I think. And this allows us to notice their weaknesses, their strengths, and we then plan the lessons and the speaking activities accordingly. And this
Hmm.
also helps us measure their progress, monitor their progress. Another
Hmm.
strategy that I really like, I encourage my students to give feedback to each other. That's peer feedback.
Okay.
Because it has twofold benefits, I think, because uh, students, not only students um, get feedback from their peers, from their partners, but the ones who make comments on their partners' feedback, they benefit from this activity because since they discuss this, since they think about this question about the errors that their partners are making, they uh, they won't typically use the same mistake, so they subconsciously keep this into consideration then.
Mm.
And
They're
one
like
more
being the
strategy,
teacher and they're
yeah,
being the teacher and listening,
mhm.
right?
And
Kind of.
students
Okay.
also, students are very open to their partner's feedback, and
Uh-huh.
they are curious about their peers' assessment. Yeah, and
Yeah.
lastly, I want to also mention reflection because reflection
Mm.
is also a great tool for assessment. I usually ask and encourage my students to reflect on their own performance, their own speaking after the speaking
Hmm.
activity. And again, I provide these rubrics, the like guidelines. They can tick the mark the point there. Um, and this allows them to observe their own development of their skills and focus on weaknesses, on strength, and they
Hmm.
also identify the areas of improvement themselves. So I think
Yeah.
that these assessments, this peer feedback, reflection, and just observing them and providing them with the rubrics, with the criteria, of course, for assessment, they help us focus on their progress, and So assess accordingly, give feedback accordingly, give formative feedback.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of what I see at the heart of what you've presented today, that you're asking the students to think about their own speaking skills, and that starts them on a journey to kind of being autonomous and being independent. And
Yeah, it increases their autonomy, and not only
yeah,
autonomy, their motivation to participate as well,
yeah,
and since they are like collaborators in
yes,
the
yeah.
lesson.
And it
Mhm.
sounds like they also know that you're interested in them, and that probably makes
Yes,
them
in,
motivated as
in
well.
them
So
and in their
yeah,
opinions as well, what they think.
yeah, yeah. I can imagine that next week we have thousands of teachers around the world starting an action research project, asking their students
Oh,
to uh, fill in questionnaires about speaking. So thank you, Inga. You've spread such an amazing project, great activities, and
of
yeah,
course.
great results. So thank you for coming, Inga.
Of course, you're
We are
welcome.
we are really sad to say that this is our last session today. So let's get ready to wrap up. Um, I hope everyone has enjoyed being here today and Friday and Thursday, if you came to all 3 days. Inga has been our last presenter. She is presenter number 12 from Georgia, and we've had presenters from, I think, 11 different countries over the past 3 days. And we've had lots of hosts and moderators helping us. I think I've counted right when I say that we've got hosts and moderators have came from 14 different countries. So it's
Oh,
clear we've got people all around the world interested in sharing ideas and spreading great practice around all the world's English teachers. So thanks, Inga. Thanks to
you're
Jo.
welcome. Mm-hmm.
She's
Thank you.
moderating here on Zoom, helping organize the conference. Karen and Marcus are helping on Facebook today. So a huge thanks to them. Right, well, we've reached the end of World Teachers' Day Conference 2025. We hope you've enjoyed it a lot. We hope to be back next year. Please catch up with all the recordings if you've missed anything. There will be recordings on our website. But if you're really eager now, you can go onto YouTube and look at our playlist. You'll find all the recordings of the last 3 days there. We'll share this in the chat and the comments for you. So, thanks, teachers around the world. We loved your participation and we loved your enthusiasm. And happy World Teachers' Day. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.